we've got the decider on who has home field advantage in the AFC playoffs here as the Miami Dolphins fly up to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Both of these teams are coming off great wins against NFC conference teams. So we're going to break down this game here, and Ryan and I are going to give our predictions. But before we do that, like, subscribe to our channel. Ryan and I were about 80 subscribers away from our year-end goal of 2,333 subscribers. So help us reach our goal. Easiest way to help grow the channel and see our content. Ryan, Miami here came off a last-second field goal to beat the Dallas Cowboys in a good win. And we'll talk about Dolphins here in a second. But Ravens, that might be one of the best overall team performances I think I've seen in a long time, considering the circumstances and situation here, because everybody had put the 49ers like on top of the pedestal here and how they've been playing. And Brock Purdy didn't have his best game. I know everyone's going to be talking about the 4 picks in general. A couple of those picks were definitely Ravens induced. And that's where I think overall how the defense played, how they just got after Brock Purdy, made him uncomfortable the entire night. And on top of that, too, Lamar Jackson, it really was. It was like if there's an MVP type like performance, that was it. Going up against the other two probably top premier MVP candidates in Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy. And Lamar Jackson was just the guy. I mean, he was absolutely the guy, could not be touched, and he was so elusive. And it was one of the best team performances I've seen, just considering the situation and the circumstances. Honestly, what do you think Miami has to do to come in and beat this Baltimore team?
Well, one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk about was the Miami-Baltimore game last year, that Miami was up, 3 scores in the fourth quarter and blew it?
I'll go back to that.
Or I'm sorry, Baltimore was up 3 scores and blew it.
Yeah.
And Miami came surging back with a long touchdown pass to Tyreek Hill. And for me, one, this Baltimore team is much better. They are much more efficient on the offensive side of the ball than last year. But also defensively, I mean, what they've been able to put together on the defensive side of the ball is just nothing short of impressive. And I'm really interested to kind of see what Miami's able to throw at this Baltimore defense. But if they're able to cover what San Francisco can throw at them, I think this Baltimore defense will be able to cover what Miami can throw at them. Because right now, I think Miami's biggest threat is just the amount of speed that they can put on the field at one time. And then Mike McDaniel obviously schemes it up to be super dressed up. I mean, we saw they ran out of the shotgun. They brought Raheem Mostert through on a play action halfback draw to the right, and then had him sneak out from behind the offensive line to the left to get the defense flowing the whole way and get a quick, easy touchdown there against the Cowboys. And like, they're going to have to do things like that, just flat out confuse this Baltimore defense, because I don't think they're going to be able to beat them just man for man. I don't think the speed is going to be enough with how disciplined this defense plays.
Well, I will think one thing too, and what we've seen in kind of my critique last week in picking the Cowboys game, but a critique of Miami, is when they have gone up against teams with a good defensive front that can provide pressure with just 4 guys, or have good disguised blitzes, and then still be able to meet with your guys just with man-to-man. Miami has really struggled. And if there's one thing I saw from this Ravens team against the Niners, and the Niners, I think we all can agree, have a significantly better offensive line than the Dolphins. They just kept sending pressure, just over and over and over again, just kept sending that pressure.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking at that. It's like, I just think that they're just not going to give Tua time to be able to like wait for Tyreek Hill to get open, which is going to be a very quick amount of time. Tyreek Hill is the fastest guy, or one of the fastest guys in the league. I think they're just going to send more guys than they can block, and just be like, Tua, you're going to have to just throw the ball and just anticipate and hope that you're making the anticipation throws just all night long. And then on the same side as well, how elusive Lamar Jackson is and how great that they are running the ball in general on the offensive side of the ball opens things up for Zay Flowers. Rashad Bateman had a heck of a game. Isaiah Likely, as I've spoken about here on this channel, I think he nothing against Mark Andrews. He's one of the best tight ends in the league, but almost Isaiah Likely helps spread that field out because he kind of fits that mold as he's much quicker, much more athletic, so to say. That kind of new age tight end, or new wave of tight
He's still
ends.
a good blocker, though. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah. It's just Mark Andrews. I feel like he fits that mold of that like 2000s type, Jason Witten type tight end. Really good, and that's what it's weird making that comparison because it's like I would love to have Mark Andrews on the Falcons, but Isaiah Likely though kind of fits that quick, that this new wave of tight end, that quick tight end who can get open, essentially just a huge receiver, but he can also block as well, and they just fits that whole offensive system was just perfect last night and just absolutely flustered the San Francisco 49ers defense. That being said, they were given a lot of short fields, I will say. So I think this 49ers defense did hold their own overall. I get that they were going to give up good drives. But that being said, though, I think one of the touchdown drives, they went 95 yards and just methodically worked their way down the field. And so I just think it's obviously every game is different. You're not going to be able to replicate the same performances, but week in and week out. But even if they play 5%, 10% less, like that's, I still think, going to be significantly better than what Miami's going to be able to try and throw at them. Also, too, it's looking like Jalen Waddle for Miami is going to be out. He got a high ankle sprain against the Cowboys, so that will be very tough to go up against if it's just Tyreek Hill and company. So, but we want to talk a little bit about it here. But watching that game, is the MVP candidate pretty much solidified in your eyes?
Lamar Jackson?
Yeah. No.
Oh yeah. To me, he has kind of been there all along, just because of how efficient he's been. His numbers aren't crazy, but I think you look at just how crazy efficient this offense has been, and then what he's been able to do over the last 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, he kind of willed them to the win in that Rams game. He didn't really have to will them to the win this week, but he was the major factor of why they were able to win against the 49ers this week. And usually the award goes to the best player on the best team. And I think right now he is clearly the best player on clearly the best team in the NFL. And if he doesn't win the MVP, then I hope it goes to somebody equally as deserving. But right now, I don't know if I see somebody equally as deserving.
The only other one, and we've talked about it, this is kind of loosely out there. So actually, I'm curious what Ravens fans would think about this. But with everything that the Browns have gone through this year, and Myles Garrett just being the leader of that team and what he brings, I think you can make an argument for it. But even then, though, too, Myles Garrett is the edge rusher. See ball, get ball. I mean, super influential overall on the defense. But at the end of the day, your team has to go and put up points, and that's the offense primarily puts up points. And seeing him last night just evade sacks over, except for the ref. The ref had the best sack of the night last night. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. Just troll the Ravens fans a little bit there for you. But just what he was constantly, and we've seen him do it all year. And I'll fully admit, coming into the season, I was wrong about what my expectations were of him, of how he would perform. He has exceeded those expectations. He has had one of the best seasons, well, since his last MVP season. But it is going to be interesting to see. I just hope he can stay healthy so you can kind of keep seeing this performance. I hope everybody stays healthy, especially at this point in the season. You hate seeing guys go down, but he's more efficient, as you mentioned. I think adding Zay Flowers, Odell Beckham Jr. as well, who has been a little bit quiet as of late, but still having him on the team. They have best receiving room that I think he's had in the longest of time. So everything's going well right now for the Ravens, and they're playing the right football at the right time. So let's get into our predictions, though, here. But as I said before, help us reach our goal of getting to 2,333 subscribers. Like, subscribe, and Ryan, I think it's probably maybe pretty obvious who I think we're picking, but let's make it official.
Yeah, I'm going with the Ravens. The way that they played yesterday was just incredible. I mean, nobody thought that game would be I think it was a 3-score game.
Yeah,
coming out
they
of
ended up getting it down to 2 scores, 33-19.
oh, that's right. That's right. But like they manhandled the 49ers, and that is just not something that I think you see really ever. And the Dolphins, they play this finesse style of football. Uh, Kind of because they have to. This offensive line isn't super solid. They're better than I think we thought they would be, but
Mhm.
they're just not that great. And I think Mike McDaniel does a good job of scheming up plays to create space and kind of the term you've coined is running the ball through the air. Is they instead of running the ball a lot, which they are very good at. Don't get me wrong, but they do conduct a lot of really high percentage like shorter pass plays to kind of spread the defense out, not just vertically but also horizontally, and make them have to cover the full width of the field. And then that's to me when the running game for them is really efficient because they're just gashing these defenses that are spread out widthwise, and that makes those gaps a lot bigger for the running game. And frankly, I don't think that is going to be a problem for the Baltimore Ravens. I think they'll be able to go toe to toe, like you said. They'll send a lot of blitzes, get Tua under pressure, because that kind of has been the recipe. Is if you can get Tua a little flustered and kind of throw off his timing and anticipation, then this offense completely shuts down. So it's going to be. I think it'll be closer than kind of what we made it seem like in this video, but I think the Ravens will come away with a handy like 10-point victory.
Yeah, it'll be closer overall score-wise because I think well, I'll take that back because I'm looking at the Ravens' overall total scores now. They've scored over 30 a lot, but I think a lot of that though, I was going to say they can just control the clock with how well they can run the ball. They can control the clock
Yeah.
a lot. So I think their time of possession. So I think it will be a high-scoring game relative to how many times like Miami might have the ball. But yeah, I think it will be like a 28-21 type victory. But
Mhm.
it'll be a dominant victory for the Ravens, I feel. I'm also going to go with the Ravens. I can see them
Yeah.
get 28 points. Maybe it's 28-10 or 28-7, but then they give up a couple touchdowns like how they did towards the end of San Francisco. But they're also, too, they're like, okay, let's just get after the quarterback. Let's keep everything in front of us here. We want them to take 5 minutes off the clock. If they score, that's fine because we're still up 3 scores here. So
Yeah.
I think the loss of Jalen Waddle, if he doesn't play, which, I mean, if you have a high ankle sprain, like I've seen that's at least 2 weeks. And so I'd be shocked if he played, and if he played through it, that would be very impressive. But in general, though, I think this defense is just going to be too much for Tua. Also, Tua isn't as mobile as Brock Purdy. So I think that is going to also play a factor as well within the blitz package with the pressure that they're going to be able to bring.
Yeah. And the last thing that I want to say is I think this Dolphins defense will be good with the like receiving weapons of Baltimore. But the thing that is so frustrating, and I think we kind of saw this in the Rams game, who actually run a fairly similar defensive system to the Dolphins with the Vic Fangio kind of 3 deep zone, keep everything underneath, prevent the big plays, and wait for them to make mistakes. Style is you can do everything right, and then Lamar Jackson will burn you for a 15-yard scramble, and then
He should have got sacked 15 times last night.
Yeah, and it's just so frustrating because it's like, all right, well, he's just a better athlete than everybody else on the field, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to me, but I really do think that the Ravens are gonna pull this one out. So you do too. Let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. We went a little over time, but go ahead and like and subscribe and help Tyler reach our goal of 2,333 subscribers. We would really appreciate it if we could reach that goal by the end of the year. Leave a comment down below on who you think is going to come out ahead in this matchup. Will it be the Miami Dolphins? Will it be the Baltimore Ravens? Other than that, we will see you guys next time.